Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. Today I'm going to talk about something that I believe is universal for all artists or anyone who is pursuing something artistic, and that is overcoming artist block. So I want to share some tips with you of what has helped me and hopefully it will help you as well. It's challenging to do art, and I think this is one of the biggest reasons why, because sometimes you just don't feel motivated, sometimes you don't believe in yourself enough, you are letting that negative self-talk just interfere with what you can actually do, and it can really inhibit you from actually even accomplishing any type of artwork. So several tips. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. The first one is just walking away for a little bit. And I know that can be hard because you're like, I just want to get this done. I need to work on this. And you have that sort of self-drive of going, if I don't get this done, will I ever get it done? And that is one of the biggest things, is just get up and walk away. You need a little distance from it. Perhaps even actually go for a walk. If it's nice weather outside, get outdoors. That can be just a wonderfully calming and uplifting type thing to do. So walking away is a big one. And then when you come back to it, you might see it with fresh eyes. You might see something that maybe you could feel before that something wasn't quite right about it, but since you were so kind of like just right in it, you didn't have that perspective. So when you come back, you might see what was going wrong and be able to continue forth. Another tip is to make sure that you don't only do artwork just when you feel inspired. So I know that sounds maybe a little counterintuitive, but hear me out. If you only do art when you're feeling inspired, you might have a hard time, especially if you want it to be your main way of making a living. You're not always going to feel inspired. You might feel disheartened. You might, again, letting that negative talk intervene either from other people or from internally. And if you're not feeling inspired, there's going to be a lot of the time that you don't feel inspired, and then you won't be able to accomplish any artwork. So make sure that if you're not feeling inspired, because a lot of time I think that's where we believe artist block comes from, I'm not feeling inspired, so I just can't do anything. Just sit down and do something. It could be something that is completely different from what you normally do, or a thing that helps me is doing something that's really quick. So, I have a series of videos called 10-minute watercolor paintings. And a part of that, there are many reasons why I'm doing that. Part of it is to try and help it feel more accessible for people, to make it an art practice. The more you do something, the more habitual something is, the better you get. The more you work at your craft, you're going to improve every time. And then finally, to just help you sit down and maybe try something a little different than you've done before. If you just spend a short amount of time doing something really quick, you've at least done something. You'll feel that sense of accomplishment, and it will set you up to go forth and do something more. So just making sure that you're not relying on only feelings of inspiration, that you're just sitting down and doing something. Because when you sit down and do something, it could be, just start drawing some circles, or you get a paintbrush and just dip it in paint and just start slathering it all over your paper or your canvas. And from that, you might wind up getting the inspiration or the motivation or the next idea. Another tip is, and this is a little bit of maybe what not to do, I used to think, okay, well, I'm not feeling inspired, so let me go look at artwork that inspires me. And this actually wound up being something that could be demotivating, because I would look at all this artwork. I would try to look at artwork that was similar to mine to think, how can I get inspired? And actually that could be very demotivating, because I would look at all this beautiful artwork or even artwork that wasn't exactly like mine. But for instance, I mean, some of my favorite artists, Monet, Michelangelo, some of the great Western artists, I would look at their work and think I could never be that good. Or I'd look at modern artwork that was kind of in the same vein, watercolors, portraits, and animals, which is what I love to do. And I would just look at their work and go, I'm never going to be that good. How can I ever think that I can do art? And it's very, well, first of all, I hope most people would realize that's very damaging. You just, if you again, just add to that negative self-talk, that's not going to be helpful. So I recommend, instead of looking, if you are trying to find inspiration, instead of looking at artwork that is similar to the kind that you do, let's say you do paintings, try looking at maybe sculpture, or looking at maybe even something completely different, but it's still artistic, like interior design, or there's so many, or dancing even, look at it. So there are so many ways where you can get inspired, but I recommend not looking at work that's really similar to your own, because you might go back to that idea of, well, I'm not as good as them. There's always going to be someone who's further along than you in their art career and their experience, and they have a different sort of flavor of talent. Doesn't mean that you can't do art, and don't let yourself compare. Comparing is not a good thing in any form of life, especially when you're doing it to compare yourself to, oh, I'm not that good. And just don't do that to yourself. So I spent a little time on that point, but so yeah, that, because I think it's really important. Artists generally, I think a lot of artists tend to be perfectionists or always striving to do their best. And, we're human. We're never going to be perfect, but we can always strive to get better and better. So instead of trying to strive for perfection, just practicing and continuing to do what you're doing. And this leads to the next point, watching videos from other artists who are further along in their career, and the tips that they have for artists who are trying to break into the art world, or who are just starting their art career, and they will have some great advice. Something I really love about, well, the YouTube community in particular, but there's other platforms out there where artists are freely sharing their experience and their tips and some direct steps of how to make a living off of art. So sometimes going and doing that and watching something that's more about the technical or business side aspects of art can be really helpful and make you realize that, okay, in order to achieve that, now I'm going to go back and do this work. So that can help you get out of your sort of funk. Another tip I have is to either get together with, or if you like doing phone calls. I personally am terrified of the phone and talking on the phone, that introvert in me. So if you can get together with someone who is supportive of what you do, who is always encouraging you, and you want to be careful, because you don't want to wind up just then spending all your time with someone to try and motivate and build you up, because it feels great, but then will you actually go and do the work? One conversation, maybe a quick coffee or lunch, and just letting them know where you're at, and they will most likely help support and motivate you and encourage you, and that can help you to get back to trying a new piece again. Another tip is, if there is something that you really, really love to draw or paint or sculpt or whatever it is that you do, go back to that. I have found that there are things that I tend to just draw or paint over and over because I love them. And there's nothing wrong with doing the same thing over and over. In fact, if you sometimes even doing the exact same piece again can be very encouraging. Like, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago, you did a painting and you really like it and you think it's good. Try it again. And then if you've continued to practice your art over that period from when you first did it to the current time, you're going to see most likely quite a bit of improvement. And that can be very encouraging to realize, yes, I am improving. I am getting better. I'm developing my craft. So either kind of redoing something you've done in the past or just doing the same subject matter. I love to draw and paint eyes. It's kind of something I've always been obsessed with. Horses, of course. I do horses quite a bit. Birds, you can see the eagle behind me. I love painting and drawing all different kinds of birds. And roses, for some reason. It's funny, most of the things I enjoy doing are animals and people and portraits and portraits of people or animals, but roses for some reason just really get me. I traditional love roses. So just going back to something that you know you really enjoy drawing and are sort of fascinated by, that can help you get over a funk, because it brings you back to a place where you feel comfortable and you're going, yes, I can do this, and then that becomes a springboard for moving on to other projects and other things. So those are kind of the main ones I have as far as helping you get over artist block, and it is a thing. I believe it's universal to, as I said earlier, to anybody who's doing an artistic or creative pursuit. It's just the matter of trying to find those ways that help you get over that and continue to do what you do, because you can do it. Absolutely. I believe that. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. If I missed anything, or if there's any tips or tricks that you may have that you want to share, I would love to hear from you. Please feel free to comment below. But until my next video, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, God bless, and have a great day.